This is not a story about every whiskey shelf suddenly getting more expensive. But across the Atlantic, some bottles really did get hit with 25% tariff stamps. The strange part is, the reason was not flavor, production cost, or anything the distilleries did. Peel back the label, and out rolls a messy tangle of steel tariffs and aviation subsidies. It sounds completely crazy, but the US and Europe had a fight over passenger jets, and suddenly grabbed Scotch single malts by the throat. Then the US put tariffs on steel, and Europe got so mad they slapped a 25% tax bomb on American bourbon. Why these innocent bottles became political hostages, I will explain it all in just 3 minutes. The spark for this entire mess was actually steel, a cold piece of metal. When the US slapped tariffs on European steel, the EU got furious and looked for a target to hit back. They asked themselves, what is the most iconic American symbol that will hurt Washington the most? The steel workers probably never tasted the drink, but the spark crossed the Atlantic and hit the neck of bourbon. Here comes the big question: why bourbon of all products? Bourbon has a rich vanilla scent, but it also carries a very sticky political odor. Kentucky, the home of bourbon, is the power base for some of the biggest politicians in America. So for the EU, hitting this one bottle was the most efficient way to make farmers, companies, and politicians scream all at once. The bourbon that was sleeping peacefully in its cask became a hostage on the negotiation table overnight. Since Europe threw the first punch, America prepared to strike back. But this time, the blow dropped from the sky. It was the massive subsidy war between Boeing and Airbus. The moment the WTO ruled in America's favor, Washington pulled out a retaliation card they had been waiting to use. The target they aimed at was single malt Scotch whiskey. They slapped the exact same 25% tariff right on it. The bill for a dogfight in the sky was delivered straight to the damp Scotch warehouses. Because of this fight, Scotland lost nearly $1 billion in the US market alone. But do you want to know the most ironic and foolish part of this tariff war? Bourbon and Scotch are actually in a deep, inseparable alliance. Scotch whiskey imports used bourbon casks from America to mature its own spirits. Without bourbon barrels, there is no Scotch. And without the US market, Scotch loses its biggest fan. They were grabbing each other's throats, only to realize they rode the exact same taxi to get here. Trying to slap the rival's face, they broke their own nose. Fortunately, by 2021, both sides cooled down and agreed to suspend the tariffs. Thanks to that, the scary tax stamps on both bottles were temporarily peeled off. But as we all know, a truce is not the end of the war. The politicians did not throw away the tariff stamps, they just hid them in their drawers for a moment. Sure enough, every time a warning light flickers lately, Scotch exports shrink by 15% in just a few months. Although they are talking about duty relief now to give some breathing room, the real trouble is that politicians realize the whiskey bottle is the easiest bargaining chip to exploit. The truly sad part is, even after the tariff war ends, shelf space and bar lists in the US market do not simply snap back to the way they were. Whiskey can mature beautifully in a wooden cask, but it cannot age broken trust back to life. Think about this story the next time you pour yourself a dram tonight. That whiskey looks peaceful in your glass, but it might have carried the wild Atlantic wind, aircraft exhaust, and the sticky smell of steel from the political arena.